Hey there, guys, it's Keegan. Welcome to your latest reading with me. Today, we're going to be taking a look at your work, your career, your money, your finances, all things related to your professional life. And I want to just take a moment here at the beginning before diving into the reading just to say thank you so much for your patience with me. I'm really trying to figure out what I want to do with this channel moving forward, what really brings me joy, what brings me happiness, and therefore what allows you to have access to me at my best energy. So I just wanted to start by saying a huge thank you for that. So this is where we're going to end up. uh, you can see I used like 6 different decks. I pulled specific cards out, really took time to shuffle and just feel my way through intuitively. But I want to talk to you about what each of the cards means. So this first card represents the spiritual work that you need to do in order to move yourself and progress yourself in your career. After we take a look at that, I'm going to pull 2 cards, and they're going to represent blocks. The one on the left is what you've overcome already, and the one on the right is what lies ahead of you that you still need to deal with. And for each of those blocks, we're going to investigate them a little bit more deeply later in the reading. So once we take a look at those 3, we're going to look at 2 additional things. The first is the higher purpose of what you're going through. What is the higher meaning for this? What is the your higher self's input in terms of what's going on? And then we'll contrast that by looking at your shadow and the impact that your shadow is having on whatever you're dealing with in terms of your professional career or your aspirations around money. Lastly, as promised, we're going to go and look more deeply into those blocks. We'll take a look at the gift that you received from the block that you've already overcome. And then we'll take a look at that block that is still ahead of you. And we'll look at the lesson that you learn from dealing with that and navigating your way through that. Once we are done with the core reading that you can see in front of you now, then we're going to actually transition a little bit and we're going to take a look at a full year financial forecast. We'll look at 3 months ahead, 6 months ahead, 9 months ahead, and then a full year out to take a look at what's going to be going on with your finances, your money for a full year. So if this seems like something you want to take a look at, please hang out with me. I think that this is going to be an awesome reading. I'm super excited for you guys to see it. And at the very end, we're going to pull advice cards and amplifier energy cards from a couple of oracle decks. We'll look specifically at your work and your career, and then we will end the reading by taking a look at your money and finances and seeing what the oracle cards have to say. So let's go ahead and move ourselves into the reading. The lead card for this reading is insight into where you need to do some spiritual work. And the card you received is the receptivity card. This card is all about being receptive to what the universe wants to gift to us without expectation or demand. So you have to be willing to ask for what serves your highest good and then trust that the universe will deliver that. Just be mindful that often the gift doesn't show up wrapped how we expected. Lean into your faith as much as possible right now because positivity is key to shifting your reality around money. The great thing about this card and its association with the Queen of Cups is that the underlying energy is actually very supportive. If the spiritual work that your guides are presenting to me is about preparing you to receive, then clearly positive things are approaching you. This is a time for receiving the rewards of your work. If you've been visioning or trying to manifest a shift, know that it is approaching you, but there is work you must do in order to claim it as yours. Often we focus on the things that we welcome into our life. More money sounds great, but if you have a tendency to soothe your traumas by overspending, more money isn't going to stay with you. Instead of truly receiving it and creating abundance, you will simply pass it along to someone else to temporarily escape from the feelings or the emotions you're not yet ready to deal with. Manifesting abundance requires you to also accept the additional responsibilities that might accompany it, such as dealing with fears of failure or fears of success, any sort of scarcity thinking, or if you have a tendency to exist in survival mode. More than anything else at this point, it's time to evaluate your relationship with success and money. The energy of this card is around figuring out what obstacles separate you from your goals and utilizing gratitude and intuition to guide you through those obstacles. The second card here represents blocked energy that you've overcome in your recent past. As mentioned in the explanation of the spread at the beginning of the video, we will look even more deeply at this success with another card later in the reading, which represents the gift you receive for overcoming this block. You have the Queen of Swords here, and I want to talk to you about what it means when the Queen of Swords shows up as a block around your work and finances. The main energy here is about working to come to terms with the truth. This might be finally being honest with yourself about what you actually want to do in this world, or it might have something to do with the truth of exactly how toxic your work environment is currently. Energetically, this card feels like it's pointing to a very challenging work situation. There could have been miscommunication or misunderstandings that required you to feel the need to defend yourself or maybe defend your character. Or you could have misunderstood something that led to you doing something wrong accidentally. Another type of misunderstanding could be misunderstanding or miscommunication of what expectations were or what was actually truly possible. Again, we will be taking a look at the gift you receive from this experience, but what's really important here is that this energy is something that you've already overcome. In the present energy, I feel like you have your eyes open to the reality of things and you're already starting to make plans based on that clarity you've received. Something that you hope will work out in a really specific way isn't going to go exactly as you planned. It doesn't mean that it won't ever work out. It might mean that this fails because there's something even better for you around the corner. But energetically, this block card feels quite literally like that. You get blocked from an achievement or success that really annoys you, but that block feels temporary or like it might serve some protective purpose. I want to give a couple examples of what's being shown to me so you can understand what I'm talking about with the energy. If you're someone who's doing job interviews right now, something about your credit check or your background check might require that you address some concerns. But I feel like you have the ability to explain these things. So it doesn't eliminate you from consideration, but it does delay you quite a bit. But your ability to respond and get everything organized in order to fix the situation actually adds to what's known about you in terms of you being a candidate for a job position. So the glitch that you have to deal with actually helps you in the long run. I'm also seeing that for some of you, you will get news specific to your actual job itself, which isn't what you had hoped to hear. This might be someone else getting the promotion that you wanted, or a request you put in for time away is not approved. It could be communication that, like, a bonus that you were banking on isn't going to happen this year. I don't feel like your actual employment is at risk here, but there's definitely disappointment that makes you feel like your plans seem to be unraveling. But again, it feels like this is actually something that helps to course correct you in a way because it forces you to consider other possibilities. And once you consider those and you give them thought and attention and energy, then the energy of some of those possibilities start to signal back to you that they might actually be better fits for you in the long run. These are not big, scary issues, but they will be annoying and unexpected for you. And like the previous block card, we'll look at this more in depth later in the reading when we look at the lessons that this particular obstacle will provide for you. The immediate energy I'm sensing here is about morality and doing what's right, even when you don't have to. Showing your ability to be responsible with what you currently have is really the best way to signal to the universe that you're ready for more than what you need currently. I'm also picking up there's a need here for you to prove to yourself that you are a good person, whatever that means to you, because it's almost like you believe that only good people should be richly rewarded, but your own energy towards yourself feels negative to me. Like when I tune into you being introspective, I feel like you see yourself as not being good enough, not being lovable, not being worthy. So there's a big conflict here. And I sense that you're very aware of this. You have to work out how to love yourself and be proud of yourself and trust in yourself before you can really have the abundance that the universe wants to give to you. I have to point out that this is a self inflicted limitation. Yes, ideally, those who are super wealthy or super powerful would also be very kind and do lots of good in the world. But we know that's not a mandatory requirement for success. There are lots of examples of this in the world. But there is a purpose beyond that healing that I'm sensing. Your desire to be deemed as good and to be respected, it does motivate you to continually do the right thing, even when you don't have to, when no one's watching, when no one would know. I sense that there might be someone who is actually observing you, though, maybe without you even being fully aware of it. It's, I'm sensing there being energy here of someone who's trying to see if they can trust and depend on you. So this could be maybe a boss who's considering putting your name in for a bigger position or to add you on to a really important team, or a potential investor who wants to observe how you conduct yourself before they approach you with the partnership offer. It's interesting to me because it seems like they are, in a way, observing what you're doing without you knowing that they are observing you. So your drive to do what's right, even when you could get away with doing what's wrong, it's really good. So continue to do that. I feel like you're right on the verge of success and big recognition, but getting yourself to where you want to be will require that you focus and clear away any negative energy that you have towards yourself. Stay motivated by being happy and grateful for what you have, even if you don't yet have everything that you want, or even if you don't yet have enough for what you actually need. It's time for you to buckle down, be responsible, be reliable, and be proud of yourself rather than being judgmental of yourself. If you're not familiar with the concept of the shadow, I want to take a moment here to explain it to you. The easiest way to think of the shadow is to imagine a version of you which is entirely composed of the things that you don't like about yourself, or that you don't want to admit, or that you don't feel like you can actually possess. You might fight admitting that these things exist within you because you judge them as being undesirable, or because you don't believe that these are positive qualities that you actually possess. These are usually unconscious things until we begin to form an awareness of them and do actual work to integrate them into our understanding of who we actually are. And that's usually done through a process of self awareness work or therapy. Since this is a general reading, I'll try to give you some direction in how to figure out what might be impacting you here specifically. And I think one of the easiest ways to begin to explore your shadow side is to look at what triggers you when you feel irritated or annoyed by other people, and what triggers you to feel jealousy or envy towards other people. The devil card placement here points to someone who is in a bit of denial about how unhappy they are. It feels like this is specific to their professional life, since this is a work and finance reading. But in a way, it seems like you're playing victim here. And I don't say that with any judgment. It's just that it's very likely that you're avoiding making the changes that you know are necessary because of fears that you might lose the security that you've worked so hard to provide for yourself. You are placing your right to be happy in opposition to your ability to feel safe. The cause of that behavior can be found within your shadow. So ask yourself, why is it that you feel like you can be safe or happy, but rarely both at the same time? It's really important for you to take a look at areas where you might be holding yourself back because of some aspect of your shadow. Think of areas where you feel you've disowned aspects of who you truly are. Do you think that you can't make money doing what you really love? Do you doubt that your skills or your talent can allow you to stand out from the crowd and be successful? Do you worry that if you don't have a specific title or the salary or the things that show you that you're successful, that other people might not value you in the same way? I want to draw a connection to what we talked about with the previous card as well, because until you unravel not feeling like you are good or good enough, then in a way your shadow is completely in charge of your ability to receive abundance. Exploring your shadow, specifically around money and allowing yourself to do the work you're truly most passionate about, is really the key to overcoming the drag on the potential energy that you have here. We took a look at what you've overcome when we looked at the Queen of Swords earlier, but overcoming that energy actually allowed you to claim a gift from the experience. And while the Ten of Swords might not seem like a gift, it's important to understand the context of the card here because it really is a gift. This means that there's an awareness here that did not exist before you worked through the emotions and feelings you were confronted with in realizing there is new work you want to do, or maybe that you're not satisfied with what you've been doing. And you've been pretending that you are okay and that you are satisfied. The gift here is that you're no longer willing to linger in that discomfort. Your energy and efforts are now aligned with closing out one chapter and beginning to write the next. Your time and your energy are suddenly very valuable to you. And I sense that you're mapping out a plan to allow yourself to have more control over both. Just be logical and rational about any exit strategy that you plan. You're thinking about what you might face if you walk away from what you've known, and you're putting in the effort to ensure that you can survive what I would call like a worst case scenario. Do what you need to do to feel safe, safe enough to at least take the leap. But energetically, I can tell you that you won't face what you're preparing yourself to face. The universe actually rewards us when we step confidently into expressing our authentic self. But you have been gifted with the opportunity to soothe your fears while also being in control of when you pull the trigger on the actual transition. So back in card three, we looked at a block which still lies ahead of you, and you had the Page of Swords placed there. The lessons that are learned through navigating that blocked energy when it happens is represented by the Five of Coins. This makes sense to me since this card in a work and money reading represents feeling stuck and burdened by the work that we're doing. I suspect that whatever happens with that Page of Swords, while it doesn't feel all that dramatic or intense, will actually be kind of a final straw for you. The energy of the Five of Coins is about knowing that you don't have to stay in a place that no longer suits you or drains you of your passion and your happiness. Also, I think you'll become aware that you're not in this on your own. There are actually people around you who want to see you succeed and will step up to support you in ways that you can't even predict right now. So, whether you leave a job or you change careers completely, you go back to school for additional skills, any stresses that you initially feel after you make the necessary changes will be temporary. Just lean into your faith in your own abilities and your faith that the universe wants to support you. You're capable of big things. You just have to step fully into what's next. Okay, as promised in the thumbnail, I'm now going to take a look at a full year of a financial forecast. And we're going to be breaking this down into 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 9 months from now, and a full year away from the date that you're listening to this reading, not necessarily from the date that I posted it, from whenever you find it and you decide to listen to it. So let's go ahead and take a look. We're going to start at 3 months and work our way around until we cover the full year. So the next 3 months, I feel, are going to be very busy for you. There seems to be a great deal of work happening. The energy feels good here, meaning whatever you're doing leads to good results. And I do think that you actually end up enjoying it. But this feels like a situation where you might be taking on like a side gig or working overtime to try to boost your savings. Or you might be putting in hours after your main job, working on some new project that you hope to grow into a success or a business that you have on your own. The best approach over the next 3 months is to dive in and stay focused. And if you need help, ask for it. Don't try to do all of this on your own. At the end of this time period, you should feel like you've accomplished a lot and done it all really well. There's a lot of support around you to help you out. So don't let your ego sacrifice the quality of what you're doing. Focus your energy on increasing your pay and increasing your savings and making sure that the work that you're doing is work that you're proud of. So, moving into the 6 month time period, I have to tell you here, if you're hoping to make a career change or you're actively seeking a different position within the same type of industry, it's very supported here at the 6 month mark. You might also find yourself with a new mentor or some new potential business partner around this time. But all of that hard work leading you up to this point really seems like it pays off for you in a big way. Your savings will be boosted and the money flowing into you will be growing in some way. There's a lot of momentum carrying you into the 6 month mark, and you should continue to take a really conservative approach with your money. Keep saving as much as you can and let the universe know what your long term goals are. What do you want things to look like or feel like in terms of your career and money, let's say 10 years from now? That's the type of thinking that you should be doing around this point. So, looking at the 9 month mark, I do have to tell you, I sense there might be a little bit of turbulence here. So, plan for a little bit of disruption around this point. It's not anything big, it's nothing too major, but it does seem like it breaks the flow that you've had so far up to this point. It feels like something that demands your attention pops up. And even though you would rather keep your head down and keep working, this really does demand that you deal with it. Be sure to keep yourself positive during this time period so you don't delay moving yourself out of it. There could be some challenging conversations or disagreements about money that happen around this point. Like you might feel that you deserve a raise, but you meet resistance when you ask for it. Or you might have someone who doesn't want to pay you what you feel is fair compensation for your work. But I think this is, in a way, a test from the universe to see how you handle some disruptive energy. Because up to this point, I'm really feeling like, aside from working really hard, things are going well, and then you hit this point. And I think that before your guides begin to push you into even bigger things with bigger risk and bigger obstacles, they want to do a check in with you to make sure that you've learned the lessons that you needed to learn to keep yourself motivated even when things get a little tricky for you. So now we're going to look at what things will be like 1 year away from today, the date that you're listening to me with this reading. By the 1 year mark, you're really starting to hit your stride. You feel accomplished and you're getting attention for the work that you're doing. If you have like a performance review coming up, you'll find that you got lots of praise from your supervisor. If you are someone who's been out networking, trying to build your own business or to increase a business that you have, then you'll, at the 1 year mark, find that you're getting the results that you wanted for the effort that you put in. But be mindful here and don't take anything for granted. Don't allow the new amounts in your accounts to distract you from the goal of saving and building revenues. It's really important that you focus on your reserves, even when you are at a place where maybe you have some money that you could spend. So after a full year of really hard work, it might feel really tempting to you to make some extravagant purchase or even just loosen your budget a little bit to allow for more fun. But you need to push just a little bit longer to save and focus solely on the necessities. It's okay to allow yourself some small rewards because honestly, you've earned them. But don't make it a habit, and be sure that you're not trying to soothe your stress with shopping or spending. This card would indicate that there is more than needed, but much of the energy that I'm feeling here is really about self control and self restraint. It's resisting that urge to splurge on things. But honestly, this reading has been really impressive. And for those of you who do end up at this point a year from now, good work. It was a journey to get you here. But once you get here, you just feel so happy and inspired. And the energy a year from now feels much more confident to me than it did when I was at the beginning of the reading. So to wrap up the reading, I wanted to pull some oracle cards for you guys. I'm breaking this up into two categories. The first is an advice card, which is focused specifically on your work and your career. And then I pulled another oracle card that represents amplifying energy. So I find a deeper meaning and personal growth amid the discomfort with an amplifier energy of purpose makes a lot of sense for me. A lot of what we focused on in this reading is how you deal with challenging times, how you deal with things popping up that aren't going the way that you want them to, how you deal with things that maybe, obstacles or challenges that pop up in your way. I think what's really important in terms of your work is you have to feel a purpose and a pull, a drive that's pushing you towards it. And any discomfort that you experience, there is a purpose behind it. Now, the next group of cards, this is specific to money and finances. And you got a really great card here in terms of advice. The universe has your back, and the amplifying energy here is about visualization. It's really important that you let the universe know what it is that you want, how you want your life to look, how you want your money to be, how you want your career to feel. It's very important that you are dreaming big and being specific about what it is that you want, but not necessarily putting too much energy or effort into demanding the when it happens, exactly how it looks. It's more important that you're looking at why it matters to you. So, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I'm going to wrap the reading up here. Please let me know in the comments what you thought about this reading. If you are new here and you have just discovered me on YouTube, then please take a moment to subscribe to the channel. That means a lot to me when people subscribe. It just helps me know that the work that I'm putting into the channel, the work that I'm putting into some of the newer readings and the newer content that I'm putting out, that it's working and that I'm reaching new people. You can also find me across all social media platforms, Keegan Kirk, basically everywhere you can search for me. So if you want to link up with me on another social media platform, feel free to find me. And if you do find me on another social media platform here from YouTube, please take a moment just to say hello. Again, I just want to say if you want to explore anything more deeply with me, whether it is about love, whether it's about your spiritual purpose, your work life, your health, anything that you want to explore through tarot, if you want to do that with me, you can find information about personal readings on my website. That is keegankirk.com. And I will be seeing you guys again really soon with additional readings and astrology based content for the channel. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you guys and I appreciate your support so much.